Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about the royals and about Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. We end with our weekly feature, The Comments of the Week. The stories, photos, and tweets we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 137. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra, I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
So we're going to be off next week. And be back on October 29th. We were just talking about this offline because I said we'll be back the 22nd, but we're off the 22nd.
It's confused. Like some vintage Gossip with Celebrity podcasting when we always
get the dates wrong.
Get the dates wrong and fight about the schedule.
Vintage is like last month.
Well, we haven't been fighting about the schedule in recent weeks.
No, we haven't.
I just go with whatever you say. I'm like, all right, so we're having a pod next week. Okay.
Yeah, we're off next week.
Okay. And then we'll have a podcast the week of Halloween.
Yes. I'll see about the spookiness. I haven't decided. I don't think we're going to do much with that. We told all our ghost stories. Hopefully we don't have new ones.
I have a little Black Panther kitty, so he's spooky.
Yeah, he is. He's cute. Spooky. So I have an update about my dog. He got kicked out of the puppy kindergarten.
I think it's bullshit.
I do
too. Total bullshit.
I will link the email they sent me. It's some passive aggressive shit. I put it on Twitter and put them on blast. I'm not giving their names or anything, but they're crazy dog people, man. They had so many rules and all this homework and everything. And my dog is good. He just barks at other dogs. He's learning. Whatever.
Yeah, he gets excited. Lots of puppies get excited very easily. They don't know their own strength. They don't know how loud they are. And he'll chill out. It's not even about like puppy training. It's just getting older and chilling out.
That's the whole point of these classes, is to get your puppy used to other dogs. But I guess they get rid of the ones who are hard for them or whatever. Fuck them. I didn't want to break up my Saturday. It's like 1 o'clock every Saturday and I wasn't able to make plans to go hiking and stuff. So whatever. I'm hiring a guy. He's coming next week. And he'll just bring his own dogs. So it'll be fine. What you're saying last week, that it's very modern for expecting dogs to be all perfect when they're little puppies, is true.
Yeah, it is. And it's a very modern issue to like have all these classes for puppies and expect like, like multi-month training for puppies. Like some dogs are like very well behaved. And I mean, training can help with that. But like some puppies are just never going to get it.
Yeah, I hope little Remy is better around other dogs, but I understand why he's like that. He's just a little scared. He had a hard time in his environment when he was little, and he's learning how to get along with other dogs. So we'll get through it. He's a good boy. All right, let's talk about the royals. So we've been hearing for a long time that the royals are super worried about the crown. The fifth season is coming out in November, early in November. And the palace supposedly wants to put a fiction warning on it. And Netflix is like, no, don't worry, we're not doing that.
Yeah, so the first 3 seasons of The Crown, the Windsors were pretty happy with it. I mean, they weren't happy with every single storyline, but overall, the first 3 seasons of The Crown were very good for the Windsors.
Okay.
Especially the Queen. Like, it gave kind of a history lesson on, like, the Queen's early days. But the problem, like, really got urgent with season 4 and the entrance of Diana. Like 2 years ago exactly, that's when Charles just started freaking the fuck out. And he went to all of his media allies to like cry about how unfair the crown was being towards him.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be worse this year for season 5 because it's all 90s Charles and Diana War of the Whales is bullshit.
Yeah, he can't handle the truth basically. And he's telling on himself by freaking out over it too.
Right. I don't even believe that Peter Morgan is setting out to be mean. Like, he's not being hypercritical of Charles or Diana. He's just using the facts at hand and creating a dramatization of it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just not being sycophantic towards Charles. And Charles can't handle that.
He can't. And if he would have just let it play, he wouldn't bring as much attention to it either. I mean, it's always going to get a lot of attention. It's one of Netflix's top shows. But he's making it known how much it's getting under his skin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And we're going to see Prince Philip's affair with Penny Knatchbull this season. And she was at his funeral. Everybody was talking about it. Who cares, you know?
Yeah, she was at his funeral. She went to that service of Thanksgiving, and she went to the Queen's funeral, too.
Yeah, like, the Queen knew about her. They had to make it all secret with Philip's will being sealed for 90 years or whatever. We know he probably has a love child with Penny.
Well, he probably has love children all around the world.
Right. So Prince Charles scheduled his coronation, and it's supposedly only going to be an hour, but, you know, I bet that's one of the things, and there's a bunch of other things we'll have to deal with that day. Like, it'll be a whole day of crap, I bet. I have no idea, but I'm guessing.
So the actual coronation will be different than Queen Elizabeth's. Not that many people can remember her coronation.
No.
But the actual, like, service at Westminster, it will probably be an hour. And then there will be, like, receptions and parades and God knows what else.
Yeah, there'll be a ton of shit that day.
He's making a big deal about how it's not going to be as opulent as his mother's. But it's still going to be fucking opulent. And it's not like the opulence costs anything extra at this point. They already have the gold carriages. They already have all those stolen jewels. Just dust them off and bring them out.
Dust off the stolen jewels.
Oh, there's like a big thing right now about the Koh-i-noor, which is the big diamonds, which is on the traditional crown for the queen consort.
Mm-hmm.
And it was stolen from India, and India has wanted it back for centuries. And the royals won't give it back. And so now they're like, oh, should Camilla wear this crown with this stolen jewel?
Yeah, do you think she's going to wear that crown?
I think they'll probably give her another one, or they might even remove the Koh-i-noor from the one that she's supposed to wear.
And hide it somewhere. Bury it with a treasure map.
Oh, God. I mean, yeah, they'll do anything they can just to not return it to India.
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, now Indian politicians are getting, like, hyper involved because currently Britain and India are negotiating a new trade arrangement, a trade agreement, and India's like, nope, this is conditional on the Koh-i-noor.
Good. Very good. So the coronation's going to be May 6th. We originally heard it was going to be June 3rd, and now they moved it to Archie's birthday, which is a little sus, you know?
Yeah, it is. I'm of the opinion that it's not really a slam, but it is shady.
Yeah.
It's not like they're trying to get at Harry and Meghan. There's so many moving parts, and like the government has to sign off, like there has to be military and police coordination, and they have to make diplomatic arrangements for all these other heads of state to come back to London. So I think for whatever reason that May 6th was a better date, but yeah, it is of course shady that they picked Archie's birthday. I don't believe that Charles even really thought about it.
Exactly.
It wasn't a factor either way.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He's like, whatever. And we're hearing that the Sussexes are probably invited. That's what Katie Nichols says. But I hope they stay home. I hope they don't go to that.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. So far, there hasn't been a ton of reporting, which means that Buckingham Palace isn't leaking one way or the other about whether or not the Sussexes are invited. It's basically like put a pin in it. Let's see where we are 3 months from now.
They're probably waiting to see what's in the memoir and the docuseries. Yeah.
Exactly.
And we're hearing there's unconfirmed reports that the memoir and the docuseries are going to be out in December. So we have that to look forward to, hopefully.
Yeah. I hope that that's true and that it comes out like all tiered. Like The Crown comes out November 9th, I think. And then like 2 weeks later, Harry's memoir comes out. And then 2 weeks after that, the docuseries comes out. I hope that's what happens.
That
I
would
really
be
do.
awesome. And maybe we'll get some interviews with them, although they don't have to do shit to promote their projects. They just kind of release them and everybody eats them up.
Well, I hope they do promote it, because if they don't, it'll just be wall-to-wall negativity from Salt Island.
True. And then they'll have some other stuff to get mad about when they give little mild interviews that are cute. Oh my God, Meghan loves herself.
Well, they keep on clutching their pearls over what's going to be in Harry's book. Worry about what he's going to say in all the interviews promoting the book. Yeah. That could be really epic. Like if he goes to Oprah again, or if he goes to Gayle King, or, he sits down for like an NPR interview. Like it could get real.
Terry Gross is going to get some details about his troubled childhood.
Seriously.
Yeah, I would like that. That'd be awesome. So Prince Harry's also suing Associated Newspapers. That's the parent company for Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday. And that lawsuit is along with Elton John and David Furnish, Elizabeth Hurley, Sadie Frost, and Baroness Doreen Lawrence. Her son was murdered in a racist hate crime in the early 90s. So they're suing them for basically spying to get stories, right?
Right. So the Leveson inquiry happened a decade ago.
Yeah.
The Leveson inquiry ended up focusing more on the Murdoch papers. So at the time, that was The Sun and the News of the World.
Mm-hmm.
And the largest conversation about hacking was about just phone hacking into voicemails.
They hacked into that poor murdered girl's voicemail. Her parents thought she accessed it.
Yeah, exactly. And so the Leveson inquiry claimed one victim, which was the News of the World. The News of the World had to shut down, and Murdoch was really upset about that. But basically, all the operations just shifted over to The Sun and the London Times, which he also owns.
Okay.
There wasn't a lot of energy and heat for the Mail, especially a decade ago, but they never really completed the inquiry. They never went far enough. And so Harry has spent basically a decade like watching the British media do the exact same stuff over and over again, and everyone knows that it's a lot worse than the Leveson inquiry even uncovered.
Okay, so good. So he's trying to finally put a stop to it. Omid Scobie reported in his column this week that Harry wants to change the media landscape of England, and that Harry would take the stand. Like he'll take this lawsuit as far as it needs to go, which is, you don't need to tell us that about Harry. We know this about him.
And that's what this issue has needed.
Yeah.
And Hugh Grant has done a lot of really good work about this. Like, they need someone with deep pockets who's willing to spend years on this.
Yeah.
And that's Harry. And there does need to be a significant change in the British media because, as Hugh Grant has said multiple times, it's a protection racket.
Yeah.
If you do not question the motives and the means of the British media, they'll protect you up to a point. If you question them in any way, they're going to destroy your life.
Yeah. They're trying to do that to Harry and Meghan, but they just keep thriving.
Yep.
But it really affects the victims, like the crime victims as well. I mean, it's terrible for the actors, but they're doing this to everyday people who are dealing with the worst tragedy of their lives.
Exactly. And they're doing it to politicians, which affects how legislation happens and how bills are passed or whatever it is in the British system.
Yeah, it probably has a chilling effect on people's...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why there's been all of this incompetent Tory leadership for years and years in Britain, is because those are the people who play all of the games with the media, and those are the people that Rupert Murdoch wants in charge.
Yeah.
And Lord Rothermere wants in charge.
Damn. So this week, Will and Kate are covering People magazine. One of the People magazines. The other one is the OG. Not the OG, but one of Zaddy, Christopher Maloney.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why People magazine keeps on doing that. Whenever they have to put William on the cover, they're like, oh, we need a second cover because this one's not going to sell.
He's not the OG Christopher Maloney. I think like Robert Redford is the OG Zaddy, at least in my generation. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, but Christopher Maloney is fine.
He certainly is.
And like, he loves that all of these young girls are like, oh,
checking out
so
his
cute.
bubble butt.
Yeah. He loves it.
Yeah, he's so hot.
But yeah, the People story was very written by Kensington Palace. It wasn't anything new, or it wasn't even informative. It's just like, no, really, they're keen. They love their new roles, and we promise they're going to be great.
Yeah, so stupid. And Will is going to run the Duchy of Cornwall and like just say to people that they can keep doing what they're doing as long as they funnel the money to him. That's my words.
He's got all the profits from the duchy now to use at his disposal. Even though Charles did sort of protect the duchy in certain ways, it's run more like a business. There's more oversight to the money. It's not just like, oh, William can use this as his personal piggy bank.
That's good. I'm sure he has more control over it.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, they have this heavy workload now that they're doing.
Today, as we're recording this on Thursday, they did their first public event of the week.
Yeah. And then they did that radio program for World Mental Health Day. It was recorded, I think, last week, but it came out like Monday. So, I mean, that came out now, but the segment they released from that was so bad. It was like this generic thing, and we'll link it in this post, but Will was talking about his toolbox. And he didn't even mention like therapy or cognitive behavioral, you know, strategies or breathing or meditation. He just talked about a toolbox, like this general thing. It's like, what do you mean? Do you even know?
He just likes to say the word toolbox.
He is a tool.
Yeah. As they've been doing a few events that have centered around mental health once again, I've really just been reminded of how ill-suited they are for it. And they're just unprepared to talk substantively about mental health. I wish they would just phase that issue out of their portfolio, their charity portfolio.
It makes them look like idiots, like they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, they are idiots, and they're lightweights, and that's why they think that mental health as an issue is good for them, because they can be lightweights at it, and it's not that important. But it is important, and they look like assholes because everyone knows that they're bullies and that they hurt Meghan when she was pregnant.
They stuff their own feelings down, and they think it's fine to be rage at things, and that it's weak to have therapy, like Harry did. Yeah.
They just need to phase mental health out of their portfolio and just do other shit.
Like talk about horses or animals or, you know, even kids. Like Kate doesn't know enough about that, but she's a mom, so it seems all right. You know, she's into photography. Do what you like.
Yeah. And like, even if Kate wanted to just focus on like babies and little kids, like do something real about that. Don't be like, oh, but mother's mental health is really important. And that's like all you say ever.
Yeah, whatever. So they look like they're barely tolerating each other when they do events together. They do. Like they look at each other like, what the fuck? And William spent last weekend alone, according to the British press, at Balmoral. So he was out in Scotland. And there was like a kind of wink and a nudge with that story.
Yeah. It was definitely shady. And the British tabloids do that to William sometimes. They'll yank his chain a little bit, not in a real obvious way. Oh, I remember when it was this year, he went to a bar without Kate. Oh. And like they made a point of saying he was seen with a blonde.
Ooh.
They didn't name her. And like they made a point of saying he didn't leave with the blonde. It was very curiously worded. They do that like every 6 months or so. They'll do something like that.
Just to keep him in line.
People who know to look for it.
Yeah. So we talked about the royals on Zoom, and this is Karen, Michelle, and Zakiya.
Yeah, congrats to them for that award, too.
Yeah, I saw, like, did you see the list of people who have previously got that award? It's like former presidents and stuff like that. I just love that for them. You know, they get that legitimacy that the British press is trying to deny them. Everyone else is kind of saying, but we see them as legitimate, though.
Yeah. And everything they try to do is toxify them has not worked. And you know that's pissing them off.
And I'm just shallow that I want to see her in a gown and Harry in a tux and them looking just dressed up and nice. The shallow.
And that they can dress like cute rather than all stuffy like the royals have to dress. I definitely loved Meghan's pre-royal and post-royal style better than her like while in the royal family buttoned up. I mean, she still looks good, but yeah, you want to see them in like nice, flattering outfits.
Yeah. Everyone clamoring to dress them and so forth. I'm looking forward to that. So I'm probably just going to ask my sister to get me Harry's book for Christmas. Just get on Amazon. Just order it. Don't ask me questions.
So yeah, the Sussexes are getting this big humanitarian award from the Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Group. And that was given to like Clinton, Obama, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Like a lot of big names have been given that award.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that they told Harry and Meghan in March that they were getting this Ripple of Hope award.
Ooh.
And they've just been quiet about it ever since. Like, I hope that they're prepared to like go to New York for the gala and actually be there in person to receive the award. And that happens on December 6th. And then Will and Kate are supposed to be in Boston for Earthshot on December 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the same week, like, both couples will be on the East Coast.
Yeah. Okay, we'll see how that works out. We know who's going to get more attention.
The whole fact that, like, a Kennedy organization, like a respected Kennedy organization, is giving Harry and Meghan an award is pretty great, especially because William keeps throwing tantrums and demanding that he be able to speak at the UN just like his brother, and he needs to go to America.
Bloomberg is giving him a little party.
It's so desperate.
Yeah, it is. Like, they don't have their own stuff. They don't have their own causes, and they keep trying to do what the Sussexes do better, but they can't, and they look like so incompetent. Lightweight.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. So last week we talked about the counterclaim that Angelina filed to Brad suing her over her selling her half of the Miraval wine business to Stoli. And this week we got an email that she sent to him in January 2021, kind of laying out her reasons for selling it and giving him one last chance to buy out her half of it.
So the January 2021 email was the first time that she was telling him that she intends to sell.
Oh, okay.
And she was saying, you know, I want to get this done very quickly. I'm prepared to sell to you. Let's have our people sit down and let's make a deal. I'd like to sell to you or the Perrin families. I guess the Perrin family, they're involved with Miraval and they help Brad with the actual like rosé wine.
Oh, okay.
So she wanted to sell to either Brad or the Perrin family. And yeah, she lays out her reasons and like you can tell how emotional she is, but like she's very clear thinking and like you can tell she probably wrote a few different versions of that.
Yeah.
And like the reason that the email was released was because he used just a few phrases from it in his lawsuit against her.
Oh.
And she was like, nope, here's the whole text of it. Here's what I was actually saying. Don't misquote me, asshole.
And her side is so good at getting out her part of the story.
Exactly.
Because Brad just obfuscates and is like, no, you're attacking me. And Angelina's side is like, okay, this is what really happened. Mm-hmm. And her lawyer came out and responded to Pitt's lawyer. And Angelina Jolie's lawyer pointed out that Pitt's lawyer didn't deny that he abused the kids. He didn't deny that he abused Angelina on the plane. And that basically, you know, he's kind of telling on himself.
Yeah, so when Angelina first filed the counterclaim and she like laid out all of the details about how he, you know, choked one of the children and, you know, all this shit, immediately his lawyer or his rep, I forget who, came out and said blatantly she's a liar. She's lying about all of this. They said that to CNN. And then, like, a day later, they retracted it to CNN because they didn't want to get sued.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't do a follow-up on that because there were, like, so many moving parts, and I wasn't sure if it was really Brad's call or if Angelina had actually threatened, like, you know, I could sue you for defamation if you continue saying this shit.
Ooh. That is crazy. I didn't even know that. And
he's a piece of shit. He is.
He is.
His lawsuit against her for selling Nouvelle is such utter horseshit.
It is.
If it was just two regular people, it would be thrown out of court because she has so much evidence on her side to prove that the sale was completely legal. She wasn't trying to, harm him or harm the business. She clearly sets out in that email, like, she would prefer to sell to him.
And she also says that he was making all the decisions and spending money and she didn't agree with it, but it's fine. He can have it.
Yeah, and we've known that for a while too. And we knew that when she first started trying to sell Nouvelle, which is her half, was that she wanted to get out. And she let it be known. She wanted to get out because he was cutting her out of the business. He was mismanaging her investment. He basically banned her and the kids from Miraval. And he, just kept spending money like a drunken sailor on all this bullshit.
And now he's on the cover of Billboard Magazine this month, showing off the music studio there.
Yeah.
What brain trusts on his side decided that was a good idea?
Well, anything to deflect, I think. Anything to change the subject. He is proud of that. I mean, I guess. Who cares? The studio already existed at Miraval when they bought it. It's now newly renovated, and he got all these cool French people to come and work on it. So he wanted to show off how cool and French he is, I guess.
Cool and French he is.
He was wearing this mechanic's onesie, and he looked like such a poser idiot.
Tool. They face tuned him to oblivion. Put Vaseline on the lens.
But only for him.
Yeah. The other guy looks, So he's also trying to sell part of his production company, Plan B.
Or just sell it outright. Or he'll sell his half or however much he owns of Plan B to an investor. There's a lot happening with him financially. My opinion, and I have some stuff to back this up, but my opinion is that he's about to get financially reamed over Miraval.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Even in the best circumstances, Miraval was a money pit. But this is the worst circumstance where Brad is not a very good money manager and he's spending millions of dollars on bullshit in Miraval.
Yeah.
And it's not bringing in as much money as it needs to just break even. I think the business records are a fucking disaster. And that's why Stoli and the owners of Nouvelle, they brought in the French authorities and they had a raid on Miraval and
And that's a huge deal that barely got any press.
Exactly. And I just think he's going to end up owning very little of Miraval. And
good.
Yeah.
He can do bit parts in Netflix movies to get by. That sounds like an awesome life to me, but
And I also think he's very suspiciously cash poor.
Okay.
Something to keep your eye on.
Emily Ratajkowski is expensive.
I think there are many reasons why they're looking to sell Plan B, and it's fascinating to watch.
So we talked about this on Zoom, and this is Karen and Zakia.
I was thinking about when Angelina Jolie, that the counter complaint, and then that email that she sent, and all I can think of, it had to take an extraordinary amount of restraint to send that email and take the emotion out of it. I'm sure she had a lawyer kind of look over it too, but just the way it's written, I'm wondering if she's been in therapy, how to talk to a narcissist or something, or how to address it. But just reading that email was just heartbreaking.
I would think she would have to be. The kids are, probably for a while, I'm thinking. Yeah, she was great rocking him.
Yeah.
So you could tell that Angelina worked hard on that letter and that she was trying to be both vulnerable and to gray rock him and just kind of be like, this is how it's going to happen.
I think when she was done, she was done.
Yeah.
And she was done in 2016. She was done when he put his hands on one of her children's throats.
Yeah.
It's not about gray rocking him. She was just done with all of it. And she's not trying to alienate him from the kids. She wants the best for Brad. She wants the best for her kids. The kids don't want any fucking thing to do with him.
He doesn't even know what's going on with him. He didn't know that Zahara had gotten into Spellman.
And Maddox fucking hates him, I'm sure.
Yeah. Because of what he did to Maddox or his brother or whatever.
Yeah.
right, let's move on to the comments of the week. So my comments of the week are on Peridot's post about Jonathan Majors covering Men's Health, and he's so hot now. He got in like shape to play Kang in the Ant-Man movie. And Janey said, he looks amazing. His dog is gorgeous. If I hadn't had a carb in 2.5 months, I would be in jail. Because that was in the title about how he hasn't eaten carbs in a couple months. And then Mrs. FonzieFace said, I know, right? No carbs would be my villain origin story.
It's true.
I could never go on a keto diet. Holy crap. I would be stabby.
Yeah, exactly.
But it shows he's so fine.
All right, my comment of the week, it's a long one. I'll like summarize a little bit.
Okay.
It's from one of the Brad Pitt stories. It's from the Plan B one. And I think commenter Coco got it totally right. So she wrote, as I said in another post, Pitt is cash poor. He can't use Miraval as his personal bank anymore since he had to hand over his financial records. Pitt had to dump his money back into Miraval to try and make the books balance on the surface. Remember, he could not afford to pay the victims of his Make It Right scheme, and he had to have Global Green pay in exchange for personal appearance, which was then canceled. And then it was like on and on. So yeah, I think Pitt is cash poor, and he's still spending like a drunken sailor. He's still paying a huge crisis management team, and he's probably buying bots as well.
Yeah, the team he's using is the Johnny Depp team.
Exactly.
It's not as bad as Johnny Depp, but you can see the same patterns with the Pitt commenters.
Exactly. And I'm surprised we haven't gotten more of those. Maybe because we've always been so well known as like pro Angelina, anti Pitt. Maybe.
And we stay on top of it too, yeah.
But like the Global Green thing, I think that there is a connection there. That he couldn't pay the Make It Right lawsuit himself, the settlement. He had to go to Global Green and get them to pay off the victims of the Make It Right scheme. Fraud, really.
Yeah. Yeah, they were shoddy houses and people were living in mold and they were breaking down and they still had to pay for them. It wasn't free.
Yep. They still had huge mortgages on those houses.
There was another comment in that thread where somebody said, like, he did the same thing to Jennifer Aniston that he's doing now to Angelina Jolie, where he started Plan B with her and then took it over when they broke up. I wonder if there's something to that.
Jennifer and Brad started Plan B together when they were married, but I'm not aware that they had many projects in development at the time of their divorce.
All right, that's good
for
her.
And I also think that it was a pretty clear negotiation in their divorce that he got Plan B, easy peasy. And I remember she started a production company very quickly after the divorce too.
So she got out of it easier than Angelina did, especially because she didn't have any kids with him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again.